Every culture tells its story in a different language, not just with words, but through food, music, traditions, and shared moments. These stories shape the way we see the world and how we understand ourselves. At Webb, these stories don't just exist side by side. They meet, intertwine, and grow together.
For Webb, it's really important for us, because we're a boarding school community, to bring students from all over the world and all over the United States to Webb. And it's really important because the students who want to come to Webb are very open-minded. They want to learn from others, and there's no other way to learn, I think, in terms of being with people that are different from you, right? It's really important. And you can learn so much from that. So it's a really important thing. So when I travel all around the world and I go to different countries, I'm always looking for students that embody Webb values and think about what they'll contribute when they come to Webb and the type of students I want to be around.
When I was a student here, I think the big thing that I recognized was that I went to a small little independent school for K through 8th grade. And there were actually not that many Asian students at my school. And so when I came here, I saw a lot of different people that looked similar to me, that a lot of different Asian backgrounds. I mean, obviously I grew up in this area, so, I was always around different Asian communities, particularly the Korean community, which I'm a part of. So I think for me, it helped me feel like I had people that understood similar backgrounds or experiences that I had. And so I think it was actually really impactful for me, especially because there were students like directly from Korea too. And that was like a kind of reconnection back to Korea for me, because, I had gone every summer, but not necessarily spent an extended period of time there. So, I mean, there's so many, but I just think that being able to talk to students who were raised in different countries just gave me a different perspective and understanding, and also really helped me challenge my assumptions of like everyone is coming from a similar background or experience. It really made me think about the fact that the person sitting next to me could be having a completely different life experience that I had. I think I'm trying to think of certain examples, whether it had to do with music or sports or things like that, especially things that were more American. Kind of opening my eye to various different types of sports, for instance, right? Like I never liked European soccer before I came here because I didn't really know much about it. And one of my friends was from Nigeria and he was very into the Premier League. And that's how I got into it. And now I love the Premier League soccer, right? And because, Americans are not super into soccer, so, but also, things beyond that, like different cultural customs and really thinking about how to bridge my experiences as a Korean American with friends who were American, but also friends who were from different parts of the world, and how we approach things like respect for our elders or respect for peers, things like that. So, yeah.
Walk across Webb's campus and you will see diversity in action. It's in the posters advertising the Lunar New Year celebration, the mix of languages floating through the dining hall, and the way students from opposite sides of the globe become roommates, then friends, then family. Here, diversity isn't a checklist, it's a foundation of everyday life.
I remember a student from Vietnam a couple years ago who I interviewed in Vietnam, and he was very interested in tea and culture and wanting to bring a tea club to Webb. And it was really important because tea was a big part of his culture every day. And I know he started the first tea club at Webb when he came, and he shared his culture. And I think it's moments like that where I meet students on the road and they talk about kind of maybe cultural dance or activities that they do that are really important to their culture. And they bring it to Webb, and I see that when I go to the dance show. I'm like, I see, little remnants of that, or what conversations that I've heard on the road from students. So I love when students can bring their background, their family heritage, or their traditions to Webb in the forms of, creating clubs on campus or just conversations with their friends in the dorms. I think that's so important that you can learn, from their upbringing and their family values, and they bring that in a very special way to Webb.
To our community. And then also another aspect of the library that we're really proud of is we have a great relationship with our community and culture office with Mr. Choi, and so we have storytelling in the library where students, staff, and faculty alike tell their own stories about their identities, and they share it with the community, and that also helps really enrich that space and make it into a diverse and welcoming space. Within the dorm, I would say one of the ways we do that is through the foods that we have as snacks in the dorm. Things like that, and just by celebrating each other whenever we have holidays and things like that, and just letting people bring their full self and having the space be a place where they can fully be themselves and feel that they belong.
I think Webb has taught me a lot about patience and understanding and just overall being open-minded to different cultures, because again, there are a lot of things that I'm not used to, but they have taught me how beautiful every culture is, especially surrounding the world. Because being an ISL, you get to interact with so many different students from all over the place, and you also host events that differ from your culture, and I think it's taught me patience, being open-minded, and especially just honestly uplifting other people.
I mean, I think that's one of the most valuable things, is that because I had checked all of those assumptions as a student here and really got to know people from all over the world, by the time I got to college, it was like second nature for me. It was just all I knew. And so I came in through the door in college not assuming that my roommate had similar experiences to me, right? And instead being really curious about wanting to get to know him, wanting to get to know what his background was and things along those lines. And so I think for me, it was hugely helpful because it helped me to build a lot of the skills that many first-year college students are trying to do in college. And so it made my transition that much easier because I had already been practicing that for 4 years as a student at Webb. And I think the idea is that, one, I never assume that I know all the answers. So it's a level of kind of being humble and really wanting to engage everyone's voice and get everyone's feedback. I think that's one of the things that the diversity within Webb when I was a student here helped me to really value various perspectives, especially different perspectives, right? Like for me, I think the most important thing that I've learned as a school leader is that oftentimes the best ideas come from when someone approaches me with a different perspective or idea than I have, and for us to then use those things to come to a well-informed, kind of well-rounded decision or conversation, you know? And so I think that all started because I learned how to listen to people and understand different experiences than my own, which helped me to be more empathetic and be more open to kind of, valuing various voices and different voices to make sure that we all felt good about it.